for like I didn't I just use for like basic programming, but mostly what I work with is Python because Python is like the most how you can say the most fundamental, most versatile language.
Uh-huh.
But
Okay.
for C and C++, it's mostly just for like if let's say I want to integrate for like sometimes I use it for graphics, let's say for pixel graphics in a game. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
mostly just that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
mostly just that. I use it more for the game development side.
Okay, because it's definitely faster than Python. And
Yes. Yes.
typically, I use C++ and C. That was like more than 17 years ago, in developing hardware libraries that is able to communicate between desktop applications on the PC
Uh-huh.
and machines, part of the machine. So
Mm-hmm.
I used. Did you hear about Visual Basic before?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so our company was using Visual Basic to build desktop applications that
Mm-hmm.
control the machines, and then we use C and
Visual
C++.
Basic is like it's like I think it's a pretty old programming language, right? It's like the basic programming language, right? I think.
It is derived from Basic, yes. So the
Yeah.
Basic is a very old programming language,
Yeah,
but
it's very
definitely
old.
the current version of VB.NET or Visual Basic.NET definitely is far away from the Basic. At
Uh,
that times, we didn't use VB.NET at the start. We
mm-hmm.
used an older version of VB.NET, which is VB6. So,
Mm-hmm.
but even with VB6 and how easy it is to develop, but it also takes months to be able to develop desktop applications that
Yeah.
is able to do all this job. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, we have to deal with databases. Like I told you, did you deal with anybody the database? And do you know anything about SQL, SQL?
Yes, yes, I do. SQL, yeah. Database, again, it's just like the basic lists and stuff like that.
Okay, so did you deal with MySQL or SQLite or what kind of databases?
MySQL.
MySQL. Okay, good.
Yes.
So definitely you use that on websites. Am I right or no?
Yes, yes, very true, very true.
Okay. Did you develop anything for Android applications using Java?
Yes, I did, but it was like very basic, mostly just like Pong and then like a few text-to-speech applications. I combined it with MIT, MIT App Inventor.
Hmm.
That's it. Yeah, that's mostly it.
So typically, we made that was like a few years back, 2 or 3 years back, not so far.
Mhm.
So we
Mhm.
used Java to build Android applications to
Yeah,
connect
yeah.
to medical hardware like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Mm-hmm.
medical hardware was designed for people who are patients who are remote areas.
Mm-hmm.
So it can measure blood pressure. Um, it can measure the wave of the heart, and it can also um, check other medical things like oxygen level, glucose level, and it can also make
Mm-hmm.
ECG. So the point here was that you don't need to bring a physician or a doctor or even a nurse to the patient, and this application import all the data from the medical device and send it immediately in real time to monitoring doctors and nurses. Okay,
Yeah.
so that is that's one of the things that I personally worked with, and so again. That was something like desktop applications that we made. Some of
Mm-hmm.
them was, yeah, like I said, it's in VB.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we control Cartesian robotics arm, but that's not a miniature robotics like when you are dealing with small
Yeah.
servo motors. We're talking about big scale machinery that is sold for more than 500K Malaysian ringgit. So
I
we use
see.
also smart cameras. We integrate smart cameras with VB, but that's at the start. But then I also upgrade that to use C sharp. Did you hear about C sharp before?
Yes, yes, yes.
So yeah, so that is somehow how the desktop application looks like. Of course I didn't make a very clear picture, but just to give the idea how the desktop application looks like that we made. Um, Here it's, I believe, from the picture you can see this is one of the application in the industry that you can use with machine visions. Machine vision is becoming actually very popular in Malaysia, and there is many machine vision companies that is actually doing software, their own software, to compete with American vendors actually. So we
I
was
see.
using American vendors. Um, there was an American company that we always deal with, and we buy their software packages that we are able to integrate in our software. So of course, did you hear about API before?
API. Oh, yes, yes, APIs, definitely.
Okay. So we use the APIs from the American vendors to integrate. This come with C# VP also. Another versions I see in C and C++. So we are able to use data from the cameras. The cameras typically check the quality of a product, and if it match the specification decided by the factory, and it measures dimensions in microns, you know. So it measures that, it integrated in the application, it store it in the database, and so that the people in the factory are able to see, okay, they run today maybe 1,000 product, how many of them match the quality, if the quality is okay or not, if it is within the spec or not, and so on. So that is one of the things that we also do. We also do some application that is related to facial recognition. That is done in Python with integration with certain libraries for facial recognition. We use that with smart glasses. With a smart glass, you're able to take an image, and then there is a small screen here that can show you, it can do analysis for the image that the guy is seeing with a smart glass, and then it can detect information. So this specific application was created at the time of COVID. It was trained by images for people in the normal conditions, and it was planned to use with a hospital patient who was exposed to accidents. So you see here the guy have problems with his face. He was hit on his head by some metal parts. And it actually was able to detect the name of the person and his actually body conditions like temperature. Of course, that was integrated with a smartwatch. So anyhow, in just in short, I know this is far away from IGCSE in general, but I'm just telling you. I personally was working on the field before I start tutoring full time. I was tutoring part time for people who are working in the industry, and yeah. So I am in the field, and I used to. I think maybe 1 year ago, I used to even write detailed code for customer and clients. So as I said, Python and facial recognition and analyzing images is actually quite popular. And like you see here, we are able to count cars. We are able to detect if this is a car or a person, and we are able to detect the traffic light. This is also this. If you look at this image, so we try to help blind people. So the blind guy wear a smart glass, and using the smart glass, we are able to tell him what is inside the room that he is about to enter. So we are able to tell him, oh, there is a laptop, there is a table, there is a chair, and so on. Okay, so that is one of the things that that actually can be done also with very easily with a Python. So I would say that I'm glad that I see that you are dealing with this kind of programming so early. Let us go back in business. Okay, so today let me give you something that will help you not only with the computer science, but in general studying. So I would say, if you want to make the information stick in your mind, you have to learn about brain chunks and how to use that brain chunks to make them information stick to your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And you also, I think you are you know that, or maybe you don't know, I'm not sure. But uh, all the working professionals know that physical exercise actually is very good for the brain. Daily physical exercise
Yeah.
make professionals take a good decisions every day. It makes the blood flow a good blood flow to the brain, and that helps a lot. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
um, your emotional stability as a programmer, now I'm talking to you as a programmer, not as a student. um,
Mm-hmm.
it is very, very important. There is certain parts of the brain that is responsible for the brainstorming. If
Mm-hmm.
when you get angry, this part of the brain shrinks a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
if you get angry, it reduces your ability to do brainstorming and problem solving. And
Mm-hmm.
when it shrinks, it can take up to 3 or 4 days to recover back. So
I
you
see.
need to handle your uh, emotions very well, so
Mm-hmm.
that, because definitely I think you already noticed that when you are angry, definitely you're not able to take a good decision, and
Mm-hmm.
you are not able to solve problems properly, even at all. um, you have your brain works in two modes: focus
Mm-hmm.
mode and diffuse mode. Smart
Mm-hmm.
people are able to make use of diffuse mode. I will explain to you what is that now. You have two, in summary, or in short, you have two types of memory: working memory and permanent memory. I will also
Mm-hmm.
tell you now how you can actually use them properly, and when to give yourself a rest. So, okay, your brain accepts little information at a time. It
Mm-hmm.
cannot eat big chunks of information. So if you are just, we give ourselves an example here. If you want to memorize a phone number, it is very hard to memorize the phone number, uh, all the numbers in the phone number one shot. You have to divide them into small chunks like that. When you
Mm-hmm.
divide them, that make it easy for your brain. So we are talking now about telephone number, but you can apply this to everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let me tell you, if you want to make a proper memory chunking to your brain, you have to engage with the information. The
Mm-hmm.
information, I would assume it can be computer science, it can be anything else, it can be any subject.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, don't just passively read or listen. Take notes, make summaries for key points, um, discuss the information with others. That deepen your not only your understanding, but deepen the information inside your brain. Deepen your understanding and the chunking of information inside your brain. When you have a good chunks, then you understand the information better, and it resides inside your brain for a longer time. Now,
Mm-hmm.
what else? We need to focus on relationships. The brain um, enjoy or like it when you tie information together. So
Mm-hmm.
always try to find relation between different chunks of information that you are learning. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Find relation between the subject and the contents that you are studying. Find the
Mm-hmm.
relation between different topics that you are studying. That helps a lot. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that is in short. Yeah. So to make the information stick in your brain, you have to do two things here. You have
Mm-hmm.
to practice retrieval. It means that some students, okay, before the exam, they say, "Oh, I want to actually reread all the syllabus," but as that does not really help. What you really need to do is actually uh, close the book and try to retrieve the information blindly. When you
Mm-hmm.
do that, you strengthen the links of the information inside your brain, and it help
Mm-hmm.
you in the recalling process. In the exam,
Yeah.
you need to recall the information, and without practicing that will not help. So rereading the information definitely is not the way to go. Okay. So what else? Space repetition. So and I believe as a programmer, you will, the more languages that you learn, you will discover that things are going to mix up by time, especially if you don't really, if you learn a language and you don't practice it
Use
a
it.
lot,
Yeah.
yes, you will start to lose your mastering of the commands. Especially
Yeah.
also it goes to, if you're dealing with a operating system like Linux, and then there is a lot of commands that you can do. There is a lot of scripts that you can write. If you don't practice them a lot, you start to lose command of that. Spaced repetition means that every 3 or 4 days, 5 days, then you repeat what you want to keep remembering. That helps your brain a lot, and that tells your brain, it gives a message to your brain, this information is important. Do not start the forgetting process, because your brain um, moves this way. So he will see which information that you always constantly checking and revising, and he will think that this is the only important information that you want to keep, and then he will start forgetting other information. Okay.
Yeah.
So to signal your brain, you have to do a spaced repetition. Now, do you know what is that?
Spatial repetition.
No, you
Um,
can see my screen. Am I right?
yeah. Index.
Book index.
It's basically just like what topics to what pages, right?
Exactly. Yes. So, okay. Now, before I continue, I moved so fast because I know that a student like you is actually smart enough to grab what I have said. But do you mind to tell me what have you understood so far from what I said?
Number one, basically your experience with programming and the wide fields. Number two, how to not really memorize information. It's not about memorization, it's about understanding it in simple chunks. And
Excellent.
reliving and kind of reviewing it from time to time.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, that's good. Okay. So, a book index here, it's similar to a certain parts of your brain. And it is important to know only a little bit about that and how to deal with that in your brain. So inside your brain, you also have an index for your permanent memory. This is two parts that is responsible for indexing information in your memory, and this is called the hippocampus. This hippocampus, um, of course, you don't need to study about your brain, but you just need to get some tips that can help you. Okay. Um, the working memory is in the front part of your head here. Okay. And the permanent memory that actually help you store all the information, it is the thin layer that lie from the top here until it goes back here. Okay. So the interface between both of them is the hippocampus. The hippocampus takes the information from the working memory and try to organize it and orchestrate it in a proper manner in the permanent memory so that you are able to retrieve it back when you need them. Okay. So they have to index them in a way that you can retrieve them with. Okay. What is important here? I didn't still add any information to you. Look at this. Imagine that this is a cup of water. Okay. If we keep pouring water here, it will reach a level that the water comes to the top and start to flow down like that. We don't want that. Okay. So we want to stop once the cup is full of water. So the same goes with the hippocampus. Every 10 to 15 minutes, the hippocampus become flood with information. This is for adults. Okay. So typically you need to give a rest to the hippocampus to be able to give it time to start feeding all the information it have and emptying itself for taking new information. So it pass all the information to the permanent memory. So what we need to do, we need to take a rest, close our eye, rest, do nothing, listen to nothing for 1 or 2 minutes. So teachers who already start studying neuroscience, they will do that without telling you. So every 10 to 15 minutes, they will clean the board, they will just check their book, They will take some moments in silence. They will not do anything. So that is partially giving the students in front of them the time, their hippocampus, the time to actually pass the information to the permanent memory and empty themselves for taking new information. Did I make myself clear here?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good. So let me move to the, I think should be the last part here. Yeah, okay. So let me tell you that although I know your focus is on computer science, but I would like to tell you that the brain does not become brilliant in computer science by only studying computer science. Every information that you read and learn, physics, math, geography, history, and even information in the newspaper will help your brain to organize and will help build connections between, this is the connections. Here you see no connections, connection between different information. And they discovered that by research that people who are always reading different information, I mean, they are like, they would like to gain knowledge about many different subjects, actually have a better ability to create and come up with new ideas, are good in brainstorming, and good in finding new and creative solutions. So just bear in mind that not because you love computer science, you only focus on computer science. The research have shown something different from that. So I would like you to use every possible good knowledge that you can gain, get it. Don't say, oh, I want to focus on computer science and other subjects I neglect. This does not help. I can, if you are interested in showing you the proof, I can share with you the proof, because that's part of the subjects I studied. So I can pass you how this is done. And again, this strengthening of and the connection between different information in the brain is done, is called memory consolidation. And this happen during your sleep. So sleep is very, very important. You need 8 hours a day, especially you as a programmer. And programming consume a lot from your brain resources. So when you sleep, this is when information are tightened and the connections between different information are strengthened. If you don't sleep, then this kind of strengthening will not happen. Just bear in mind that this does not happen in 1 week or 2 days or 3 days. It can take up to months. It differs from one person to another. The research does not say a specific time. It can be 1 week, it can be months. It depends. And nobody is able to know why yet. There is still ongoing research on that. Okay? Did I make sense so far?
Yep, it does.
Okay, good. So I hope you can use it for the benefit of your brain in general and for your future. Okay, now let me focus also on the important thing here. So there is, I told you, there is different modes of thinking that you can put your brain in. The focused thinking is when you are listening to me now, and when you are listening to a teacher, and when you are learning your own subjects. But there is another important thing, diffuse thinking. Sometimes you are taking a shower or just relaxing, walking by the sea, and then ideas start to rush to your brain. So this only happen when you are in the diffuse thinking. You are very relaxed. You're not thinking about anything. You just opening your eye or even closing it, but just thinking about nothing. You are relaxing. When you are relaxing, you are putting your brain in the diffuse mode thinking. And this is the mode when you are able to solve problems, when creativity actually happen. So when you are stuck in a programming problem, if I learned that more than 10 years ago, it would have been helpful for me. When I stuck in a problem, I take it, I always say, no, I'm able to find a solution fast, and I keep thinking about the solution. and it can take hours of hours thinking about how to solve a specific programming problem. So the thing here is that if you're stuck, just leave what you're doing, half an hour or 1 hour. When you come back, you will definitely find an easy solution faster than you are stuck for hours just thinking about the same problem. Leave it even for the second day. So if you're stuck with something, leave it for tomorrow. Don't, and relax. The more you relax, the more you actually activate this diffuse thinking mode, and that helps you a lot. Okay, does this make
Yes.
sense so far?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, good. Now, let me see. Yeah, we already say about that. So typically in with all my students, I do this way. So for every student, I create a post in my blog where I put I update and put all the class resources for every class. So typically I write the class date and time, and I upload all the recording for the class videos that we take, and so I upload them on the YouTube. I put the links here um, on the blog,
I see.
and okay, and I also, so if we write some code, some Python code here, so typically I put the links for the code here. Okay, and all the slides I also put them here under the files section. Exercises for every class also, it's the links is left here. Sometimes I ask some of the students if they are comfortable, if they solve the exercise, especially if it is programming, then they leave the link for me on a specific post that I put for them. Typically, all the slides is actually saved on
Google Drive.
Yes, Google Drive, yes. Okay.
Okay.
And I think you dealt with that before, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
Okay. So, like I said, all the recording is stored on YouTube and in a specific playlist for the students. I use Replit for programming. Do you use it?
No, I usually just use PyCharm or Jupyter for Python.
Okay, so we use Replit because actually we are able
But I
to
use
share
Visual
links.
Code. I use Visual Code if for most languages.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you never use Visual Studio before?
Sorry, yeah, Visual Studio,
Yes,
and Visual.
yes.
Sorry.
Okay, so like I told you, if I want to share a code with you or even a file, it's much easier even to keep track of all the files that we dealt with, because typically I name every code after I do it inside the class. I name it under the class name, so you're able here to look for all the previous classes and the codes we have written in them. I believe you have gone so deep in Python. Did you deal with any data structure inside Python or any sorting? Have you dealt with something like how to say object-oriented programming in Python?
Definitely, yeah, but it's kind of vague now because I haven't coded in a while.
Okay, good. You don't have to go deeply inside object-oriented. It is just for your A level if you take the A level, but we have to talk about data structures and sorting of data and dealing with lists. You have dealt with lists, definitely. Am I right?
Yeah, yes, definitely, yes. That's like
Okay.
the pure basic thing.
Okay. Now let me understand from you also. I think you already know about that. I wasn't sure about your level yet. So do you know what is that?
SSD, yes, definitely.
Okay, so and you know why SSD is faster than the normal hard disk?
Um, because they have no moving parts. So instead of like the HDD which spins around, essentially it's just static, so it's easier to pick up data.
So it's like a RAM. What is the difference between SSD and RAM?
SSD and RAM. Um, one is like volatile memory, and one is like for temporary memory, and another one is for like permanent storage.
Excellent. Okay, good. So you have seen some pictures like that before, definitely, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Do you know the distance between this magnetic head and the platter? This platter
No.
where okay. So actually, I think this images can somehow tell you. So this is the head,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the magnetic platter where we store the info. We magnetize the information, and this can act like human hair. So you
Mm-hmm.
see the human hair, how big is it between, if we compare it to the distance from the head here, which is represented by this part,
Okay.
and
Mm-hmm.
so you see, so that's why if you ever open a hard disk, then it will never work again, because any
Yeah.
dust or any hair that falls on the platter, it's gone. And you
Yeah.
know why the hard disk, if it falls, it will get damaged also?
Because the memory is at the top.
Um, so basically it is because of the head. The head is so
Mm.
close to the platter. If you throw it, or if it falls, definitely this will harm the
Yeah,
platter.
damage. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So are you able to recognize anything from this information or these images?
Yeah, the size.
Okay. And so have you seen this or that before?
Yeah, definitely. When I fix RAM into my laptops and my PC.
Okay, good. And this was actually the old RAM. So the
I
old
see.
computers that they built in 1960s, it was this was the RAM. So you see how
I
big it
think that was
is.
like I think it was like 128 megabytes or something. Or was
No,
it
less than
32?
that.
Was
Less than
it
that.
32?
Sorry again?
Was it 32 megabytes?
No,
I'm not
no,
sure, but I
less, much
could have
less,
put it.
much lesser. This 32
Eight?
is, yeah, that was in the 1960s. So I tell you, 32 and 64 was popular in 1995.
I see.
So that was, this is 32, and what was so advanced, 32 megabyte. This is much, much less. That is almost 30 years before that age. So definitely it's
Mhm.
much less than that. Um, okay, now let me also go through a simple information or knowledge here. Do you know how the memory or the RAM is divided inside?
Not really.
Okay, do you know that there is, so inside the memory there is, or
Binary.
inside the RAM there is a part for addressing. So there is an
Uh-huh.
address for every location in the memory, and there is
Mm-hmm.
a place also to store the information inside the memory. So
Mm-hmm.
so this is the data itself, and this is the address of the data. And if you
Mm-hmm.
dealt with assembly language, did you ever dealt with assembly language?
Yes, yes. Assembly language.
Let me share with you how this assembly language looks like. Let me
Is it like
see.
C++? plus plus?
No, 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 no.
No?
It's lower than C++. So
Oh.
this this is assembly language. It looks like that.
Yeah.
Is somehow a little bit cryptic. Okay, so
Okay.
this 3 lines is actually same like this in Python.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but the difference here is that this is telling go to address 8 in the RAM and
Mm-hmm.
load the content of address 8 in the RAM and put it in a certain register in the CPU.
Mm-hmm.
So this register typically is called accumulator, AU, or
Mm-hmm.
sometimes AC. We write it AC. Okay, so we get from the RAM. If this is the RAM, this is the address number 8. We get the contents from address 8. We store it inside AC, and then the add command, he say go to address 9 in the RAM, take its content and add it to whatever inside the accumulator. Okay,
I see.
so he's just telling add from what you find in 9 to what you already got in 8. And then STA 10 is telling the result of the addition that you have stored it in the AC now, take it and store it in the address 10 in the memory. So now this is when you're dealing with assembly language is tough because you have to remember the addresses of the memory. And typically in Python, you don't need to do, no need to care about that. You just care that you create a variable name. So the variable name internally inside the Python itself, it is related to an address. So typically there is a address table, but you don't see that. The time, the sum, which is a variable, to a specific memory address. In this case, it shouldn't be 8, it should be 10, which is the place where we store the result of this addition. So typically, we are adding 5 plus 2. So maybe 8 will be having 5, 9 will be having 2. So he store all the contents and add them here. So he will put at the end 7 inside the position 10 in the RAM. Did you get anything from what I said so far?
Yeah, I do.
Really?
So it basically just like it's like putting a variable inside of a variable. You know, it's like
but in the old age. So that
yes,
is
in the
yes. So okay, why we ever need to use? Oh, it's only remaining less than a minute in our class. If I don't manage to tell you that information, I will tell it to you next time. So embedded systems, if you ever hear about it, they use a lot of assembly language because they need to control everything about the hardware and they need to execute the code very, very fast, extremely faster. Okay, and it's even faster than the C. And certain even functionality you cannot even do in the C, you have to do it in assembly. But I tell you, you crack your head if you ever have to write a lot of programs in assembly language. Other than that, I already finished my class. If you have any comment, let